This is a pretty solid issue. There's a great centerpiece fight with the Zords between the Ranger Zords and the Grave Zord. And there's lovely is not a word I'm going to use. Hello there, heroes. I'm the Orange Ranger, and welcome to another comically long review, Shattered Grid. We left off on a couple of juicy cliffhangers last time, as Lord Drakkon rode up on Corinth with his evil version of Once a Ranger, while in the past, Ranger Slayer and her Megazord looked to be teaming up with Rita against the younger versions of the Rangers. Let's find out what happens this time by taking a look at Go-Go Power Rangers, issues 10 and 11, and Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, issue 28. Issue 10 of Go-Go has 4 covers, but the focus feels a little disjointed. None of the covers references to the same thing or person. That's not a bad thing, just that I'd been getting used to there being more of a theme. Let me knock out these 3 covers all at once since I don't have too much to say about them. We have Trini's Morphed on White cover. The movie poster cover is Risky Business, and the episode cover is A Bad Reflection on You. I guess it is worth mentioning that the monster involved is Twin Man, who was voiced by 2017 movie Zordon Bryan Cranston. The main cover is something I considered holding off on until later, but we did see it at the end of the last issue, so I think it's fine to mention. I'll hold off on what exactly it is and it's called until later. In the coinless dimension, 2 coinless agents run recon. Since one of the boxes is pink, we can assume that one is Kim. They go from zone to zone, and we learn interesting little details, like how Trini doesn't like hearing about yellow sentries doing things, and Drakkon apparently blew up an entire area they patrolled, hence there being no Zone 4. Zone 6 is the Alcatraz school thing that used to be Angel Grove High, and the other person comments on how they used to hate that place. That person is Bulk, and he and Kim reminisce about their days in school, the terrible lunches, hanging out at Ernie's, simpler times. Bulk comments that what he misses the most is history class. Kim thinks he's joking, talking about it being a nice place to sleep, but actually he's serious. Bulk, it turns out, is a history buff. Kim can hardly believe it. Bulk was a history nerd in the guise of a dumb bully. Bulk points out that she's no different, a Power Ranger in the guise of a Valley Girl. Kim jokes that Secret Lives were fun, but Bulk gets serious for a moment, taking the chance to thank Kim for all the times the Rangers saved the world and nobody knew about it. She's sad that they failed when it mattered, aka the fall of the Rangers, but Bulk tells her not to beat herself up. Back then, he'd have given anything to team up with the Rangers, and now he's teamed up with the Pink Ranger, and they're never gonna stop fighting. Jumping between dimensions might have made jumping times a little confusing, as instead of giving us an X days after arrival day for the present, it just says now. Bulk and Skull are back on pegging kids with water balloons duty, and they spot Billy and Trini walking by. Skull actually asks if they can let off Billy's case, reflecting their history, but Bulk isn't having any of it. Trini and Billy talk about Kim, Billy having found 11 different time travel theories that suggest future Kim is not actually Kim. Number 7 will make you hug your dad! I'd settle for the more future being a possibility instead of an assured thing, so this is just a possible future Kim, but hey, whatever. Bulk chucks his water balloon, but this time Billy catches it and even slings it back. Impressive feat, but it's really not all that easy to catch a water balloon without it breaking. Anyway, Bulk takes it in the face, and the feat even shatters continuity, as the balloon missed Skull here, but in the next panel, his hair is wet. Billy attributes his improved reflexes to his time in the Zord. Inside, Kim finally finds Matt and has had enough. She shoves him against a locker, telling him she understands they all have stuff going on, But he can't just ignore her. She needs him and hopes that he needs her. He comes clean. He hasn't been avoiding them because he's mad, but because he thinks he's special. He takes Kim somewhere. I'm guessing his house, but that makes this another one of those pesky little time jumps. Anyway, he has gone full conspiracy theory message board and concluded that his abduction was somehow connected to the Power Rangers. Duh? I mean, a causal connection is obvious. You were kidnapped by evil aliens, the Power Rangers fight evil aliens, so of course there's something of a connection. Anyway, the reason Matt went quiet with his friends was that he was actually trying to protect them, not wanting to get them caught up in whatever's going on with him and the Power Rangers. It's one of those deliciously ironic and kind of sweet things. Kim tries to throw him off the scent a little, asking if it's possible that he's just been really unlucky. He says that is possible, and he doesn't expect anyone to believe him, but he knows what he has to do. Track down the Power Rangers. Get the Kleenex ready! Jason has come to Zordon with a heartfelt request. He believes that his father is dying, and seeing as the command center has this amazing technology, maybe there's something that Zordon could do? Zordon tells Jason that he's lived a long time and watched many people that he loved die. He's even sent people under his command, such as the 1969 Rangers, to their deaths. He understands all too well the pain of death and loss, but it's not within his power to prevent. He's not saying that this is a technological limitation. This is a philosophical limitation. This is some Star Trek Prime Directive stuff. Zordon is on Earth to observe it, to protect it, and hopefully allow it to reach its full potential. Knowledge earned is knowledge respected. Simply handing over the ability to overcome something like death is a heavy thing to do willy-nilly, and he will not go that far. In class, you might be surprised to see that Violet still exists. Indeed, she was not just invented for the homecoming dance. Zach talks during class to apologize for disappearing when chasing Sassy Matt. Violet says it's fine, and guessing where he's going with this, says he does not have to make it up to her. He asks, what if he wants to? The Rangers' phones start going nuts, annoying their teacher. But, I mean, it does happen to be news of a giant robot attacking the city. This actually brings up something I've been meaning to mention after noticing it a couple of times. In these comics, it often seems like news agencies get the jump on Zordon. I mean, we had that cover where there was a TV news report of a giant monster attacking the city just as the Rangers were getting notified on their communicators. Now we have this going on. Isn't Zordon monitoring all this stuff? It seems like the Rangers should know well before the news does. Okay, it's time to talk about Giant Robot Nick on the cover. This is the Ranger Slayer's Megazord, the Grave Zord. It's basically a weird Megazord combination of the Thunder Zords. You can see the Red Dragon, the Tiger Zord, and the head of Tor. Zach hops up and says, hey, let's get out of here and evacuate, totally not for going to hide and morph reasons. The teacher tells him to sit down. Principal Kaplan has created new policies for monster attacks, and basically it means the school is placed on lockdown. Jason and Kim are in another class and text Trini to say that they're locked down too. Matt, for some reason, isn't in class walking down the hall, but he wants to investigate the attack personally, so he pulls the fire alarm. The Rangers leap on the opportunity, pointing out that the fire alarm means that they must evac the school. The Rangers slip away, morph, and call their Zords. Ranger Slayer taunts the Rangers' tardiness, and Jason tells the Rangers to treat this just like they did when they fought the Megazord copy. But this thing is a different animal, and none of their tactics are working. They decide to form the Megazord. But Ranger Slayer is smarter than most monsters you see, as she doesn't want to wait for the combination to complete, smacking the T-Rex out of the way.
That's against the rules, isn't it? Screw the rules, I have money.
The Rangers try their individual attacks that they know, but not only does she know about them, she's used them before, so it's not working. The Rangers call Zordon, basically going, "Help?" Zordon points out that if the Grave Zord is indeed made of old Zords, they might have a weakness. But before he can say what it is, he screams in pain.
Ah!
Ranger Slayer is in the command center, her power coin still giving her access. Now, it's a little unclear how she still has a power coin because we've seen pink sentries. Maybe her powers were combined with some other powers, so some of her powers could be used for sentries? Anyway, Alpha asks how she can be there, and she says the Grave Zord is piloted with a mix of remote control and pre-programmed AI. He asks why she's doing this, and she says maybe she just wants to see how many wires she can pull out of him before he begs her to stop.
Whoa.
Meanwhile, Rita is observing the battle. Goldar helpfully reports the news about the new Megazord, but Rita's the one who powered it up, so she knows about it. Goldar wants to join the fight, but Rita delivers another classic backhanded compliment, saying if she wanted him dead, she'd indeed send him. She calls her other minions, and she's using the old let my enemies fight it out strategy, telling them to get a surprise ready for the victor. Back in the battle, Kim Prime points out that she heard Zordon scream. Zack is distracted by fire, but Jason says Kim is right. This thing could have ripped them apart by now. They're being stalled. He tells Kim to go check it out. Zordon even trumps their ability to form the Megazord. Meanwhile, Matt approaches the battlefield from the street, the area blocked off by cops. He demonstrates the effectiveness of Angel Grove's finest by running right past them, losing them in the smoke and dust. The Rangers notice that the Grave Zord has gotten quiet and start to plan to lead it away from the city when Zack notices that Matt is standing on top of a building, waving at them. Trini gets distracted and the Grave Zord throws her Zord into the building near him, collapsing some rubble near him. Ranger Slayer beats Alpha around the command center. She says she's used a quantum field disruptor on Zordon, messing with his brain so he can't help. She says she'll stop if he gives her access to the subspectrum long-range communication system, obviously trying to contact Finster 5. Suffice it to say, he's defiant, but help has arrived to save Alpha from Kimberly. That help is Kimberly. This is a pretty solid issue. Great centerpiece fight with the Ranger Zords versus Grave Zord, and we have wonderful character stuff too, with things like the conversation between Jason and Zordon, and the earlier flashback with Coinless Kim and Bulk. This was a really kind of breezy issue. It just moves you through the story and ends on a nice cliffhanger. Issue number 10 of Go-Go Power Rangers gets a 4 out of 5. Now, since I am reviewing 2 issues of Go-Go Power Rangers, you might be wondering why I'm going to jump over to Mighty Morphin Power Rangers here instead of just going on to issue 11 of Go-Go. As I've mentioned before, I am going by a suggested reading order chart for Shattered Grid, and actually I did look into this myself, and there's something that happens in Go-Go issue 11 that ties into something in Mighty Morphin issue 29, so I figured that this was just the best way of going about things.
Alright, let's get started before my headache gets any worse.
Yes, ma'am, Captain Janeway. MMPR issue 28 has 4 covers. There's a San Diego Comic-Con cover that features Psycho Green, his monster form overhead. It's pretty sweet. Forever Yellow is a thing that's happening here. So I'm not sure if I just haven't noticed them previously, but there's a yellow sentry on here. That's interesting. I get these covers are just representing as many users of the color as possible, but they're made to look like all of them are jumping into battle in the same direction together, and nah, Yellow Sentry's not on the same team. The Retrosode cover is from Zio's A Golden Homecoming, when Jason became the Gold Ranger, But interestingly, I don't believe it references a moment from the actual episode. Jason, now the Gold Ranger, nostalgically looks at his old MMPR red suit. The main cover showcases the battle we're about to see, Drakkon's evil Rangers facing off against mainly the RPM and SPD Rangers. On today's episode of Sharing Zords, Kim and Jen ride in the pterodactyl. Jen grimaces and Kim asks what's wrong. It's just a headache, a symptom of the temporal paradox of Jen being there. Her body is reconciling to this time period. Even her memories are adjusting. Kim asks if this is normal, and Jen says it is. That gives Kim a little glimmer of hope. If Jen's body needs to adjust to changes in the timeline, maybe changes can still be made. But Jen sees right through it and tells Kim she is telling her the truth. She cannot save Tommy. And in fact, Jen has a case of a miracle coming through for her, but not how she hoped. For those unfamiliar, in the first episode of Time Force, Jen gets engaged to Alex, the Red Ranger in the future. But later that day, Alex is killed by Ransik, the villain of the season. Later in the season, after the Time Force Rangers chased Ransik to 2001, Alex followed them. He was brought back to life by changes in the timeline made by the Rangers, likely the Rangers eventually capturing Ransik in the year 2001, but had changed, being more militaristic and less concerned with romance. "You can never truly get back what you've lost," Jen said. "You don't know what you got till it's gone." Kim asks if they stop Drakkon, if Jen will get her teammates back. She says it's possible, but... And Kim understands. Even if they do come back, it might be Alex all over again. The moment is interrupted by an alert. They've located the Galaxy Rangers. They land on Terra Venture, the space station that left Earth to find a new world. Kim comments that it feels very familiar. Jen explains that Terra Venture was built with biodomes approximating areas on Earth, so she's probably just remembering a ski trip or something. Kim says either that or saving Rangers across dimensions is messing with her head. Or it could be that Kim has already visited a place that's at least quite similar. Huh, look, it's a big city dome on top with connecting tubes and bridges to other smaller domes. Kind of reminds you of Terra Venture, doesn't it? Jen gets a signal from the mountains, and they have found a brand new member for their Pink Ranger bowling squad, Galaxy Pink. However, Jen was expecting to find Kendricks, but instead found Corone. Jen knows that despite Corone having been Astronema, she's on the side of good now. She just wasn't sure at what point of Galaxy's era they were landing in.
And yesterday just may be tomorrow.
The two of them get a call, and we see that the ladies have been kind of busy. They've gathered up Carter, the Lightspeed Rescue Red Ranger, Noah, the Megaforce Blue Ranger, RJ, the Jungle Fury Violet Wolf Ranger, Coda, the Dino Charge Blue Ranger, Gia, the Megaforce Yellow Ranger, Kira, the Yellow Dino Thunder Ranger, and Kendall, the Dino Charge Purple Ranger. After a moment debating if the pterodactyl is a dinosaur, note, it is. On the Mighty Morphin team, it's the Mastodon and Saber-toothed Tiger that are not dinosaurs. Also, it's cute that Kira points this out. She's the one that would know. Carter asks if they can help since they're getting bored. Jen says thanks but no thanks as the three Pink Rangers teleport in. Kim points out that she may need some medical attention, and Carter is a firefighter, so that he can help with. Noah asks if she was the only one left, as Jen responds, and Noah looks on. Yeah, this is a coloring error. The one asking is actually Gia. You can tell by the long fang on the tiger symbol on the side of her helmet, but there's just one little spot for helmet color, and they accidentally used blue instead of yellow. Oops. By the by, she was the only one left, so Drakkon presumably has the other Galaxy Rangers, and, just about as important, access to their powers. Alpha calls and reports Lauren and Jason found Dr. K. However, you could say that they've encountered a little little bit of resistance and might just need a spot of help. Ziggy asks exactly what the Rangers are trying to accomplish here. Jason explains about Dr. K cracking the dragon cannons and needing to get her to their dimension so she can do it for them, and whatever other Rangers they bring along. Dylan is all in on this, knowing the scope of the situation, but Dr. K rejects leaving. Drakkon's fear of her gives them an edge, and she would rather keep that edge in Corinth to keep the city safe. She gives Lauren back her morpher, declaring her powers are now warp-proof. They debate her leaving a little longer, even as Lauren joins the fight. Flynn, RPM Ranger Operator Series Blue, tells Scott, RPM Ranger Operator Series Red, that the need to get her safely out trumps even her own desire to stay. But that becomes a backburner issue as the A-Squad SPD Rangers approach. Slam cut to the coinless world as the Rangers prepare an infiltration plan. Skull has gotten the two Zacks Black Sentry outfits. If he's able to get back into Drakkon's palace safely, he'll send a signal to them. The two Zacks have an interesting conversation, Zack Prime first commenting that it's weird to look at himself, and Coinless Zack says it's mutual. Coinless Zack asks if Zack told the Rangers about Rita's Green Ranger offer, and he did. I still wish that had not happened off-panel. Zack says he wishes he could ask for more advice about things to avoid or do in his future, but Coinless Zack pivots that into talking about how all he's done for the longest time is fight. Basically, he's saying he can't give very much advice on his life because they've just about reached the point where, for him, it just became constant battle. Zack Prime says they'll save his world and give him a break. On cue, they get the signal from Skull and rush in. Back in Corinth, the A-Squad Rangers tell their opponents that they really should have just given up. Then Drakkon shows up, having absorbed more power and sporting a new look. You'll note how portions of his suit are now black, the samurai sash is gone, and there's also Zeo circuitry in the shield. He brings along Psycho Pink and Psycho Blue, and taunts Lauren that she got away, but was foolish enough to come and face him again. The Rangers charge him, knowing their powers now can't be taken away, but that doesn't stop them from getting smacked upside the head. Drakkon spots Summer, RPM Ranger Operator Series Yellow, and notes that he doesn't have a cell shift morpher, and there's really no word on if or when Hasbro is going to do lightning collections for morphers, so he decides to take this opportunity and snatches hers. Reinforcements drop from above, the Rangers we saw before with the Pink Rangers, as well as the SPD Rangers, unmorphed. I will say that during Zordon's warning, we saw Bridge getting zapped, and the story in the annual centers on them defeating Drakkon without their powers, so I guess they have lost them for now. Drakkon even marvels that they've come to face him now, even after what I've already done to you. Drakkon charges an attack, but Sky has learned that they don't really like being near him, apparently charging at him with a shield that knocks him away. The dragon cannons open fire, and all the reinforcements lose their powers. They're surrounded, and things aren't any better on the big scale, as Kim explains they're taking damage in the skies, and it's time to fall back now. Jason tells Dr. K he knows she wants to protect Corinth, but for the good of everything, the universe, and all of reality, they need to get her safely to the command center. To do that, they have to disable the teleportation shield, so Jason asks Dr. K how they do that. Dr. K considers it a moment and says they have to tear down Corinth's dome. Skull and the Zacks sneak into the palace trying to find Ninjor. They quickly do, and in a sign of how much Drakkon seems to believe in his security, the mind control device is a simple little crown that they can just yank off. Skull says it's time to go, and on cue, Finster 5 comes up with red and yellow sentries calling the group spies. One of the Zacks says they won't let them take Ninjor back, but the other sees a shot coming and dives, pushing him out of the way and taking the shot right through the chest. So, right, at this point, There is no way to know which Zack that was. Skull tells them to get out the side exit. Back in Corinth, as the T-Rex Zord breaks the dome, but falls in the process. Alpha begins teleporting people out as Kay wonders what she's done. Jason says what she's done is given all of reality a fighting chance. Back to the coinless world for just a moment, as the trainees and Billy see Ninjor and one Black Sentry running out. Coinless trainee asks Zack what happened to, and his helmet phases a moment, letting her see he's not wearing the bandages that coinless Zack was. Back in Corinth, the final group gets teleported out as Drakkon looks on, presumably free to conquer the city, if that interests him. Billy comforts Coinless Trainee, telling her that they will stop Drakkon from killing any more Rangers. But Ninjor says, oh no, that's not Drakkon's goal. He's not gathering the power of the grid to kill Rangers. He's killing Rangers to get the power of the grid, to enter the morphing grid itself. Outside of conquered Corinth, so I guess he was interested, we see him focus hard, and a small energy fracture appears in front of him before fading. Soon. To me, issue 28 feels like a little bit of a step back for a reason that may not even be fair. It's just the structure of the story. This narrative has a real tendency to... how do I put this?
Jump around! Jump around! Jump around!
Yes, that's it. We just keep jumping around. We go from Terraventure to the coinless world, to Corinth, to the coinless world, to Corinth, to the Zords, to the battles. There's a sequence there right near the end that I think really reflects what I'm talking about. We spend 2 pages in the coinless world, then 1 page over in Corinth, before jumping back to the coinless world for half a page, before jumping back to Corinth for the other half of a page. It's just a little bit dizzying as we keep shifting back and forth between different parts of the story. The action is really nice, and the story is handled well. Issue 28 of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers gets a 3.5 out of 5.
Back in time.
Issue 11 of Go-Go Power Rangers has 5 covers. The movie poster cover warrants specific mention for attention to detail. See, it's homaging Mallrats, and the poster for Mallrats is basically a picture of the cover of a Mallrats comic book. This cover could have just been the cover of that book, seeing as this is indeed actually a comic book. But no, it went full out, and the cover is a picture of the cover of that book. Nice! 2 for 1 for time's sake, Zack's white cover and the retro-sode High Five, where Trainee dealt with her fear of heights. Ranger Slayer is an aspect of the 2 best covers, as the main cover is Ranger Slayer and the Grave Zord, with Kimberly and her Pterodactyl Zord seen as a reflection. Which one is the true reflection? And San Diego Comic-Con got this addition to the Held Helmet series, Ranger Slayer, added to the set. Very, very nice. It's time for another coinless Kimberly flashback. She and Bulk fight to clear the Black Sentries, which funny enough they call Trunks for short, out of a field hospital. Defeating them, she sends Bulk to check the perimeter and asks the doctor how long he'd need to clear out of the facility when she spots something. Or rather, someone. It's Matt. Yes, to be crystal clear, this is coinless Matt. She'd been told he was dead, but they apparently managed to get him stabilized. He apparently took on an entire group of sentries by himself. He says they found the school. I'm assuming that he doesn't mean Angel Grove High, because that's already the Finster 5 Academy of Brainwashing or whatever, but maybe a coinless school. She says once they clear out of there and get him safe, they're going to have a real long talk, and he says he's not going anywhere. Bulk comes storming back in, reporting 12 sentries incoming. Kim tells the doc to clear out and asks Bulk to help her with Matt, but sadly, that won't be necessary. At the moment Kimberly looked away, Matt died. She screams no over and over, and Bulk knows how terrible this is, but they really do have to go now. They leave, and supposedly sometime later, grief has turned to anger. Kim tells Bulk to get the more seriously injured to Trini's camp south of town. What about her?
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore!
He's taken Jason and Billy, and now Matt. I'm not gonna let him take anyone else. I'm gonna go kill Drakkon, or die trying. Kim tells her future self to stop hurting Zordon and Alpha, but she scoffs, able to speak to her own negative thoughts on both of them. Zordon always condescending and literally looking down on them, and the annoying Alpha with his constant whining. She is glad to see, though, that it was herself that figured things out. Thinking of the others reminds her of the Zord fight, and she patches back in to check on that. Matt gets up, apparently not hit by the rubble. Zack calls down to Matt, telling him to get the crud out of the giant robot war zone. But then the Grave Zord stabs down and gets close, and remember, Coinless Kim has now patched in. Matthew? Hi. Jason takes advantage of the distraction to grab the Grave Zord, telling Matt to run. Grave Zord flings him off and punches straight through the T-Rex. Billy and Trini freak out and know that they need a plan. Future Kim grabs her past self, and Alpha threatens her to stop or he'll stop her. She's not threatened, but she was distracted. Kim hits some sort of emergency control that floods the room with electricity. I would guess that nobody in the room would be really harmed by this, 2 morphed rangers and an actual robot, but something more important happens. A bolt strikes out and hits the darkness bow, snapping it in half. There's a small explosion, and then I'm me. The Zords are in kind of bad shape when suddenly there's a bright flash and the Grave Zord shrinks down, retreating. The T-Rex Zord is pretty severely damaged, but Jason is okay. Squat and Mabu report to Rita, who is assisting Finster with the monster she asked for. They tell her that the Rangers won, but just barely, and are on the ropes. She says it's the perfect time for the monster, but Finster says it's not done. Well, actually, he makes some kind of aloof art statement, saying, "Art is never finished, my queen, only abandoned." Anyway, she gets the message and tells him to take his time. The Rangers return to the command center and see Kim standing there, with Coinless Kim helmetless and kneeling in the center of the room. They finally shake her from the fog, and she says, they're ghosts. She watched herself try to kill them. So by now, you've got this figured out, and to be honest, it is a little bit trite, yes, but this is basically an evil Green Ranger situation. Kimberly was somehow taken control of using the Darkness bow of darkness. I'm not sure the weapon has a name, but it is comprised of 2 swords of darkness, and 1 sword of darkness is what took control of Tommy, or rather locked that spell in. But anyway, destroy the weapon, and the spell is broken. I guess Drakkon was just taking a page out of Rita's playbook after he killed her. Kim consoles her future self, who apologizes for the things that she did outside of her control. Wisely, the other Rangers aren't sure if they can believe this, but it does seem to be pretty legit. Zordon chimes in, saying he's seen this kind of mental manipulation before, Natch, but she seems to be free of it now. Billy suggests they take advantage of this opportunity to learn more about her and the future she comes from, but Zordon vetoes that. She's from the future, so she shouldn't tell anyone about it. Matt has told the Rangers about heading to the robot fight, which they pretend to not already know. They tell him how stupid that was, but he's definitely not swayed now. One of the robots said his name. Now he knows he's involved in this, and says they should head over to the place where the Gravezord shrank down and stake it out. They promise to help him figure this out, but make him promise to cut out the crazy stunts. He only promises to run the ideas by them first. Kim goes to meet herself, who is working on fixing the bow. It's a very practical mindset. The spell is broken, she's good again, but it is a strong bow, they can still use it. Coinless Kim thinks her younger self has come to see if she's lost her mind yet, but that's not why. Kim's gonna violate the Temporal Prime Directive and ask her future self if her parents ever get back together. Doesn't even have to be a solid answer, just a hint. She says she doesn't want to do any more damage than she's already done. If you think about it, that is the answer. Younger Kim says she'll just head to the bar and drown her sorrows. What? The juice bar! Drown them in triple chocolate milkshakes! Coinless Kim says that sounds like a great idea. Kim got some of her mother's clothes and they head to the juice bar. Future Kim commenting that it's smaller and more coconut smelling than she remembers. She sees Bulk being a jerk at a video game. She goes over and introduces herself as Sally, Kim's older, meaner, and angrier cousin. Then she hugs him, calling him Magellan. Just a thing for history buffs, I guess. Then, this girl just wants to have fun, as she downs milkshakes, dominates at video games, downs milkshakes, shows off on the balance beam, downs milkshakes, and did I mention that she put away a few milkshakes?
My milkshake brings all the boys to the yard.
As Ernie sets to work on another milkshake, Sally, God, it's convenient having something else to call her, comments that she hasn't had this much fun in a long time, but notices Kim has been sulking. She says she's just got a lot on her mind, but as her future self, Sally advises her that she's never not going to have problems, and what matters is having fun in the stupid, dumb moments between. Matt walks up, getting the memo about festivities, and his appearance catches Sally off guard. Kimberly introduces her, but she freaks out and steps outside. She tells herself Matt is not a ghost, he's just a second chance. There's a phrase we could dig into. But we don't have time for that as someone suddenly arrives, calling Sally his Ranger Slayer. Yeah, it's Lord Drakkon, speaking to her through what looks like a portal, but is apparently just some kind of window in time or something. She plays it straight at first, talking about Finster 5's mission for her to rescue him. Her message did manage to get through, the one she sent in the Gravezord hangar. She says she's playing the Rangers, trying to find a way to get back to his side. He says that won't be possible since all of his efforts right now are focused on gaining enough power to access the Morphin Grid. But when he does that, he will be powerful enough to retrieve her. Drakkon then brags about how he killed Tommy. Sally just cannot respond to that normally in good little soldier fashion, so she pivots it into asking if that was a smart move, since it could have grid-shattering consequences. But this was still a mistake. You see, those under mind control spells tend not to ask if the actions of their masters were wise. Drakkon then realizes that she doesn't have her bow, and that the spell has been broken. The two then basically trash-talk each other through the portal. Sally says she'll kill Drakkon, but Drakkon says likewise. He'd never leave her alive when she's a threat to him. He says goodbye to her, and the portal closes. Billy teleports to the Zords to check on repair progress, but Sally is there, morphed, working on something. He asks what she's doing, but she says it's related to the future, so she can't talk about it. He offers to have her work on it in the main control room and goes to leave, but she can't let him go to tell anyone else what she's doing, so she zaps him, cursing his helpfulness, apologizing, but saying that she can't let anyone else, like him, die. As we see Bulk and Skull tagging a wall, which really doesn't seem like their style, with their nicknames, which seems even stupider than them, we see shadows fall over them as two monsters loom overhead. Hey, are their names Rick and Leo? Yet another issue where the action was good, but it wasn't the key factor to the issue. Go-Go Power Rangers does an amazing job of really drilling down to the human element. And the whole flow of Sally, aka Coinless Kimberly, coming back to her right mind was just amazing. Especially her having fun in the juice bar, remembering simpler, more innocent times, juxtaposed against Kimberly Prime, who really, if you think about it, even with the divorce, has a lot less to be worried about going through her own issues and being depressed. And then you get that excellent conversation with Drakkon, which was fun for its utter contentiousness. Issue 11 gets a 4 out of 5. Believe it or not, the next video is going to bring us to the doorstep of Shattered Grid's finale. We'll see what Sally Slayer does now that she's good but still stuck in the past, and if Dr. K can help protect the powers of all Rangers as I review Mighty Morphin Power Rangers issue 29, Go-Go Power Rangers issue 12, and Mighty Morphin Power Rangers issue 30. I actually have a really quick note to toss in here. This is something I've been meaning to mention for a couple of videos, but to be honest, I just kind of forget about it. I have mentioned recently that my YouTube channel was demonetized by YouTube. The date is actually coming up very soon that I'll be able to reapply for that monetization, whatever good that's probably not going to do. However, in researching what I could possibly do about this, I came upon a resource from what seems to be a private person doing a great thing that really takes a lot of work, and I wanted to appreciate it. There is a Twitter account called YouTube Graveyard where this person is just bringing together all of these accounts of channels that have been demonetized or had videos demonetized, dealing with revenue issues, etc., and they have Team YouTube tagged in on the thread and have had them respond in the past. So this individual is actually making a difference for YouTube content creators as far as finding a way to get the attention of YouTube and fixing a lot of these issues. I contacted this person, and after a little bit of back and forth, making sure that my issue was legitimate, they did list my channel as part of a thread on the ongoing issues with channel demonetization. Unfortunately, I can't say that YouTube noticed it or has done anything still to remonetize my channel, but I appreciated the effort, and I told this person that for doing that, I would definitely make sure to mention them. So if you have had any issues with videos on your channel or just your channel itself being demonetized and you don't know why, look up YouTube Graveyard on Twitter, message this person, and they'll start the process of possibly getting your channel listed to get the word out. That being said, that's going to do it for another comically long review, Shattered Grid. Thank you, heroes, so much as always for watching. If you liked the video, please make sure to smack that thumbs up button down below, and while you're down there, you can head over to the comments and let me know what you thought of these issues, more Shattered Grid awesomeness, as well as my review of them. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel to see all of my videos, and ring the bell. Get your notifications set up so you can be notified whenever I post more videos just like these, a comically long review of Power Rangers Shattered Grid. Like I said, I'm getting really close to the end here. It's amazing how quickly this has flown by. And if you would like to support my channel financially, as I said, it is still demonetized by YouTube, so that would be nice if you can. There are two ways that you can do so. Head over to ko-fi/OrangeRangerVideos. There you can donate me a coffee, which is set at $3, or any multiple of that. I greatly appreciate that. Or if you'd like to donate less or a different amount, you can head over to digitaltipjar.com/OrangeRangerVid. Toss some tip change in that jar. I greatly appreciate whatever I find at either of those sources. Until next time, heroes, may the power protect you. We left off on a couple of juicy cliffhangers last time, but I don't know what they are. As Lord Drakkon rode up on Corinth with the evil version of Once a Ranger and in the past. Hello there, heroes. I'm the Orange Ranger, and welcome to... My thumb is cramping up from holding these comics. Billy having found 11 different time travel theories that suggest that Kim is not actually from... shoot. You were kidnapped by evil aliens. The Power Rangers fight evil aliens. So of course. Anyway, the reason Matt went quiet... Finding out about monster attacks and giant robot attacks and stuff before the Rangers are notified. Yeah, I don't know where this is going. She calls her other minions and says she's using the old yeah. This thing could have ripped them apart right now. Kim asks if this is normal, and Jen says it is. Ivs? That they need to get her to that the need to get her to safety out-trumps even her desire to if he's able to get back into Drakkon's palace safety to do he says Billy suggests they take this opportunity to and calling Kimberly his Ranger Slayer, not Kimberly. Sally cannot page the true? Oh God. But she can't let anyone know that yo. Believe it or not, the next video will bring us to the doorstep of Shattered Grid's finale. So he's actually,